You talked about your musical kind of background being completely country music, which is great. Like I hear that in your sound, obviously, but like you do, even though you do lean on country traditionalism, there is a lot of like modern contemporary music within your vibe as well, whether it's, more rock based or even some pop vibes. So how did you kind of pick up those influences over time?
Well, I mean, obviously being a kid, growing up in school, it may not have been played in your house, but you still had a life, So I
Hmm.
heard other music, even in the locker rooms. I mean, the only thing I can say probably never influenced me was really rap. The rap and hip hop and that kind of stuff just never did anything for me. But I definitely got older and gravitated towards, I like listening to some rock. I couldn't sit there and tell you band names and band songs and this and that like I do country music, but I did find an appreciation for it. And yeah, just the fact that even country music itself evolved over the years.
Hmm.
I really what drove me even further back into that honky tonk sound was, around my senior year of high school. Country music was starting to. You had a few acts that did stuff I liked. I was really into Dirks Bentley and Joe Nichols and like Jake Owens, early stuff, guys like that. But you had guys that were really pushing the pop boundaries at that time, and that's what really drove me going. Like, I don't really care for this, so it made
Hmm.
me go, all right. I love Chestnut, I love George Strait, and I went, what made those guys? And, it started off, I know Keith Whitley probably was a little bit in that generation, but it started with Keith and playing I was playing all the clubs and stuff around Central Arkansas when I was a sophomore, junior in high school, whatever it was. And so, you'd go play these VFWs and they, boy, if you're going to play country music, you better know Merle Haggard. And I went, well, my dad's always tried to listen to all this stuff that I thought was old and hokey. I guess I'll start learning it. And that's when I really, really dove into the appreciation for all the guys that made the 90s guys that made me. And I just kept tracing them. I think I went back as far back as like Webb Pierce. When I got that far, I was like,
Hey,
all right, I think we're good enough now.
yeah.
Mission accomplished. But I just, it was a specific record called Saving the Honky Tonk by Mark Chestnut, an
Mhm.
obscure record. Not many people know about it, but I remember hearing that for the first time going, man, that's the stuff I want to do, man. That's the country music I like. And so that really kind of sparked all this. And, as far as the contemporary, I mean, you can't reinvent the wheel, so you're not going to bring back that sound of those guys exactly the way they did it. So, you try to do things and make it sound fresh. And, you know, as they always say, a great writer borrows, or I'm sorry, a good writer borrows and a great writer steals. Well, hey,
Mhm.
you go find the things that you actually like and just try to find a way to make it mix with what you're doing. And that's pretty much the sound I go for.
Yeah, and I love what you're doing, man, bringing that 90s vibe back. I love that you're talking about people like Webb Pierce, too, because, like, man, Honky Tonk goes back a whole lot of years. It
Oh,
wasn't
yeah.
it wasn't just like Mark Chestnut and that Southeast Texas feel with, Tracy Byrd and Clay Walker and all those guys down that way, but like it's been here a while, and that Honky Tonk has some other vibes in it too, with Western swing and
Oh, absolutely.
you can have some Southern rock in there as well. And even like, I'm a huge 90s fan like you are. Even the 90s, like looking back at it, like Brooks and Dunn wasn't traditional country, right? There was a lot of pop vibes with them, and,
Yeah.
you
Well, I
know,
mean, even George Strait, I mean, that's
yeah,
my hero. I mean, you base everything I do. I don't even try to hide it anymore. I'm like, if I look like I'm trying to be the mini me of George, well, I have been since I was 3 years old. So
right.
why hide it?
Mhm.
But I mean, even him, you talk about Dean Dillon and he goes, man, he goes, I just started taking the James Taylor melodies and putting them to a dance hall vibe, And so, country's always kind of chased and done that kind of thing. And so, I mean, I found myself getting aggravated, and that's not country, and this ain't country. But I mean, Conway Twitty wasn't country when he came out. Garth Brooks was
Yeah,
the death of country
I
music
was
when
gonna
he came
mention
out.
Garth Brooks. Like, if you
So,
remember back when we were kids, man, like the whole Garth Brooks versus Clint Black discussion,
yeah,
right? Like Clint was traditional, Garth was more edgy, and like now looking back at it, like everybody considers both of them traditional. Like it's
I mean,
impossible, right?
I find stuff. I mean, Kenny Chesney, he was a sellout and going pop, and now I
Yep.
go back and listen to old school Kenny, and I'm like, man, that sounds pretty country for all this crap we're hearing today. I kind of dig it,
Yeah,
So
I
it's
remember hating on Kenny Chesney and really liking Tim McGraw, and now looking back, there's not really much of a difference between them. You know what I
No,
mean?
not at all. Not
Yeah.
at all, man. So it's just, I don't know. You find your lane and you roll with it. I mean, of course, as an artist, you find things that, especially me being a purist and a traditionalist, you know, I, I don't shy away from conversations that are tough to have. You know, the fact Morgan Wallen said in an interview last week, "Oh, I never really listened to country." I mean, yeah, that makes me fighting mad and go, "Then why the hell are you here?" You know,
Mhm.
I am a guy that loves country music, and there's guys, you know, we all get a bad name. You know, y'all just don't want music to evolve and this and that. And I'm like, man, I'm all fine with it evolving, but keep some trace of the genre here, man,
Mhm.
or you have a love for it. You know, show me something that made me understand why you wanted to be this. You know, it's just I feel like a lot of people use country music as their stepping stone or the easy money way in. And it's just like, you know, it means
Yeah,
so
and
much to me. It makes me
yeah.
fighting mad when I hear that.
Yeah, I was the same way for a lot of years. Like, really, I was very, very protective of country music because, again, I'm a huge traditional fan, and going back way back to the Webb Pierce, Ernest Tubb, Marty Robbins, Hank Sr. I love that stuff. But like just looking over the course of 60 years of country music, it has evolved, and it
Hmm.
continues to do so. But at the same time, there are artists today like Zach Top and Jake Worthington and yourself, and
Yeah.
there's a couple dozen others that are really tapping into that old style of country music and still having a lot of success with it today. So the market is still there. But now, like, I'm looking at these other genres, these other types of artists that are trying to dip their toes into it. It's almost flattering because they understand that it's there. There's something there
Hmm.
to kind of, I don't want to say take advantage of, but maybe that is
Yeah.
what they're doing in a way. But I think it's almost flattering that they want a piece of that pie, the Beyoncés and the like. I love Post Malone, for example. You
Well,
know,
and that right there, you know, there's two parts to that. I want to make sure I touch on both because
yeah,
the first one, dang it, I'm telling myself in my head, don't forget. Oh, I don't think that traditional country ever left. I
no, it
think
didn't. Yeah,
the digital age and social media made it to where it couldn't be hidden anymore. You know, you
right.
didn't
Yep.
have the gatekeeper radio saying, you know, this ain't selling, we're not playing it. And so, you know, I don't know, maybe in the next 5 years this sound goes away and nobody likes it. But I mean, there's markets where it's always lived. It's always lived in Texas. That's why I came here.
Hmm.
But you know, I'm the same thing, man. If artists really have an appreciation for country and want to come dab into it, man, I'm all for it. And that's the difference with what I see with like the Beyonce and the Post Malone thing. You know, Posty, he's going and making friends in Nashville. He's wanting to be with the riders and like being a part of the community, and
Yeah,
that's
hitting the
great.
road and networking,
Yeah,
and yeah, yep.
and you know, I don't shy away from the Beyonce thing. I mean, I had a video go viral ranting about her Grammy. You know, it's just if you're just doing it to win an award and for a thing for yourself, then you know, yeah, that's where I get kind of mad because I doubt I can go make a country record and call it hip hop and get embraced by hip hop, can I? You know,
Right,
so
right, yeah.
that's kind of where I draw the line. But man, these guys, you know, I remember Darius Rucker. You know,
Hmm.
I mean, dadgum, he made the most country record I'd heard in 15 years when
Yep.
his debut thing came out country, you know. So it's, you know, the guys that come for the true love of it and want to be a part of it, man, I welcome it all, man. Broaden us. But, you know, it goes back to if it's just a stepping stone for something you ain't been able to achieve, then go
Yeah.
on, get out of here.
Yeah, I agree.